Hey, welcome back to Mill. My name's Bill. This is Pirate Solutions Forestry, and it is Wednesday the 4th, I think. Yeah, no, I don't know if it's the 3rd or the 4th. I think it's the 4th of September. We are continuing on the timber frame order. I'll show you what we got going on the list. I'm out here with Danny. Danny's got a bum foot. He kind of tore a hole in one of his pads, so he's got his foot all bandaged up. He's behind you guys. I'll show you him in a minute. And I'm kind of into a weird spot in this timber frame order. It's we're getting into logs that don't fit great as far as diameter goes. What we have to mill still is let's get you in the sunlight. So the customer right now is doing the joinery on the base. We've already cut these two long 18/6 sill plates here. We've already cut 4 rafters. So let's just call them these 4. And we've got wall posts to cut and these tie beams to cut to get him to his next stage, plus these girts around the outside. I know that we've already cut at least one of these. I can't remember how many, maybe 1 or 2. I'll look at my list in a second. So wall girts, we've cut 1 12-footer. We're still going to cut 5 8-footers, but we are moving over into, I want to work up from the bottom since I did his big long sills. I want the posts. So we need 7x7s. We need 6 of them at 10 feet long. So this particular log is just over 12. I don't believe it's big enough to cut 4 of them out of. So to get 4 posts, I'd need a 14-inch cant, 14 1/8. That is a 20-inch log. This is not a 20-inch log. I do have some 20-inch logs up top. The problem is that they're nice, like 16-footers and so on and so forth, and I don't want to waste them. So what we're going to do is we are going to get into using up what we got laying around stage. I've got some decent-sized white pines sitting in that pile up there. I have this one here. And then this pile that's sitting right over the top of that green stuff there, I've got a bunch of smaller ones. And I think that I'm going to start getting into cutting one beam out of log at a time, and then just taking whatever bonus material I can get. So to use up some of these logs. So what we're going to do is we are going to smash this thing into a cant. And after we get it into a square, keep it in mind 7 and 5, because I do need some 5x5 rafters and wall girts of 4x5. So keeping in mind those dimensions, if I get into an 11-inch cant, I can cut a 5 and a 4 and get a girt and a post. So we kind of want to keep those things in the back of our mind, and we'll figure it out as we get close. So we're going to want to stay just outside of all of our, let's just call them nominal dimensions. So 12-inch, we're going to want to stay at least at 12 1/8. Same thing wide, or 11-inch, or I don't think we'll get to 14, but we'll see where we end up. So this is, as opposed to cutting this end off and doing a map out on it and reading it that way, I'm just going to blast through some logs. So let's go ahead and fire this thing up and get at it. I think I've got everything I need. Fuel, I'm lubed, all that stuff. So we're just going to start taking this thing apart into a cant and take it from there. We've got plenty of water. Turn my water on. And we are continuing our testing of the new solvent that replaces the pine sol and I think it's pine allen and the Ajax as opposed to Dawn dish soap. And the Stella cut bands, which I'm down to my last one. I've got 2 that'll cut. We're going to wear them out before we replace them and go back to silver tip Turbo 7s. I did debark this log. It was pretty filthy. I do see some dirt down on the bottom, and as I roll it, I'll have to maybe scrape a little bark off it. And we're testing the mechanics prototype gloves. So we're going to get at it. Where's my tape measure? Try and get this thing into as big a square as we can. Danny's chilling out in the dirt. He wouldn't go in the house, so he wants to be out here. And get ourselves up to about 15-ish here, I think. I did shim this end of the log up. That looks like a fairly good starting point right there. So we're going to take it off at 15 and see what happens. Maybe it's some water flowing here. I don't know if you heard just how much friction that took out of that band. Pretty much a wasted cut. I'm going to drop down a couple of inches or an inch to 14 and take another piece off. This clutch is starting to make noise. I've been through a couple of clutches already. This one's just starting to bang into gear again like some of the old ones did. See if we can just power through this thing. Got my stops up kind of like halfway up on the log, so I don't have to worry about them for the first, say, 2/3 of this process. This log is filthy. And I'm gonna have to take some of the bark off it real quick. My rails are filthy from debarking. That shit all over the place here. This log looks like it got dragged through a friggin' mud pit. So the only rational thing to do is take the bark off it. All right. Still got some dirt on it, but it's not too bad. Take a look at my stops. Looks like we got plenty of room there. Now, when I roll this on its side, I probably am going to have to shim this end up again. So let's see where we're at now. Should be around, looks like this cut's going to come off at 12. So I want to make this, I don't know exactly how it's going to work out, but this could be a final cut side to side. So I want to make this at 12 1/8, so at least I give myself room for a kerf. So I'm going to cut this at 12 1/8. I don't think I need to dog it down. That way I can get a 5 and a 4. That's 9. A 7 and a 4. That's 11. That still gives me room, but I need that 1/8 of an inch for a kerf cut. And let's go ahead and take it there and see what happens. This is 12 1/8. Also, the outside of this log's a little bit wet and funky. So we are going to try and work our way to the middle. Try and get rid of some of this wet shit on the outside. Probably good enough to spin it on its side. We'll see if we can square it up with our stops where they are. Might have to raise them up, I'm not sure. And I think I'm going to have to raise up that end. This log is pretty straight, fairly symmetrical. That doesn't mean by any means that it's a perfect log. Okay, so it over-rotated a hair, I think. Yeah. I'm going to show you a trick to... I'm going to shut the mill off. I want to show you guys a trick to get it rotated back. I'm going to check the height on both ends to see if I need to bring this thing up, because if I do, I can do it right now. So kind of like 18 to the top here. Forget checking the pith. It's off center. I've already checked it. All right, so I don't need to bring it up. It's 18 here. So 18 to the top on both ends. But I'll show you guys a trick. And actually, the one thing that I found that this, well, one of the things that I found that this log dog assist is good for. So I'll show you this. This log dog assist right here. I've never been able to really get it to quite work right on being a log dog assist. But if I stuff it in the log down here and I pull back on this, it will scoot the bottom over. So I will get rid of that over rotation. And what I mean by over rotation is that when I check this square here, I'm too far that way on the top, and that's a pain in the ass on a mill. It's hard to undo. So if we put this in here and then pull back against it, and pulling back is obviously easy, it'll scoot the bottom over against the stops hard. Then I can go ahead and re-square it up if you over rotate it. So the thing is good for that. And you can just leave it there. So we want to get this thing perfectly square. This is a money cut right here. Right there is perfectly square. If I can get a dog in it with one hand, just enough to hold it in place, and then we'll dog the thing off. I'm going to dog this in 3 spots because I don't want it to move. I'm going to readjust this dog and make sure it's tight now because I only get it in one hand. Okay, now we're perfectly square. Money, absolute money. So that is a little trick there with that log dog assist to get yourself back from being over rotated. Sometimes on a big log, if you over rotate it, you've literally got to roll the log all the way over because you can't undo it. If they're too heavy, you can't get them back. Whether that makes sense to you or not, you'd have to be a miller to understand. But sometimes when it's over-rotated like this, the log's too big and heavy for you to get the bottom in, unless you do it with a machine, which you can do. But using that log dog assist, I've been able to do it. So we're going to make our top cut here about 17-ish. This probably looks a little low. I might even go to 16. I mean, 17 looks a little high, sorry. Yeah, I think I'm just going to take it at 16. And we'll cut the side off, flip it over, get her into a square, and then figure out what we're going to do with it. All right, let's rip the top off it. Probably going to come down to 15. It's not a bad flat, but it's definitely going to need something done to it. So I'm just going to come down to 15 and cut a flitch off it. This would be like a 7/8 split. Now normally, on a pretty dry log, there's a chance that I might have just hosed myself needing 7x7s, that maybe I could have got them out of the middle of that and only given myself 1 inch on the other side. However, there's so much softwood on the outside of this that I think it's just going to have to be whittled down anyway, so I don't think it's going to make a difference. So I'm going to flip her all the way over. This is the tough flip here. It's tough to get the can hook in low, so you kind of have to get it moving first. Oh, it's just going to go. Okay. Get my log dog assist back out of the way. I don't see any issues. Let's go ahead and take it to something like 13. 13's kind of deep there. 14 showing here. So let's think about this for a second. How wide am I? 12 wide. So it just, the hopes of two 7x7s go away after I go past 14 1/8. So maybe we'll make a cut at 14 1/8 and see what it looks like, just in the chance that we could get a 7-inch wide flat and cut a chunk out of the middle and get 2 of them. But I think it's going to be too low. Yeah, it's going to totally miss here. So 7 and 5 is 12. So I'm going to come to 12 1/8, and I'm going to start there. Now would give me the chance of getting a 7 and a 5, 7 and 7, 5x5. So we're just going to start at 12 1/8, and hopefully that gives me a reasonable flat spot on the top. Looks good. Now we're getting down into some nice clean wood. And we're going to start thinking about what we're going to do with this thing. Still a little bit of softwood on the outside. It's not punky, it's hard, it's just wet. I shouldn't say soft, the whole log is soft. So right now we are 12 1/8 up by 12 1/8 wide. So it's actually 12 1/8 by 12 1/8. And let's take a look at our list and see what fits into that. Sounds like 7s and 5s to me. And we are 12 foot long. So let's see what we got for 7s and 5s. Unfortunately, I think they're going to be... So we need 7x7s, and we need 5x5s. We don't have any 5x7s, which kind of sucks. And they're going to have to be flip cut to do it that way. The 8x5, 4x5s don't work. 5x5s wouldn't be 3. So really, we want to cut a 7-inch cant off it, and then we can flip that on its side. Cut, well, 7 inches thick by 12 1/8. Then we're going to cut a 5 off it on the side. That's going to give us a 7x7 and a 5x7. And then we'll cut the edge, whatever edge is worse, we'll cut that down to a 5x5. So what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to drop 7 inches down on this cut. And some of those are 10s. Are they all 10s? 7x7s are 10s and 5x5s are 10s. So that's good. This is a 12. So that's going to get rid of a lot of the wane down the other end. So what I want to do right now is I want to drop down 7. Or I can come up 7. If I come up 7, I can take the top chunk off the mill. So let's do that. We're going to come up 7 inches off the deck and cut it. So we have a, and I got to drop my stops. So we have a 7 by 12 1/8. It's going to be 7 inches thick by 12 1/8. We're going to cut it down to a 7x7, taking 5 off the top. That 5 is going to be 7 inches thick, so it's going to have to be milled off on the side to a 5x5. I think that works out rather than, it's kind of like a weird flip thing. So we want to get these down. Just put them at 3 so we can still roll it. Okay. So now I think what I want to do is come up 7 off the bottom, cut it off. And then take the cleanest side, turn it into a 7x7. What we have left up here will be a 5x. So this end up being 2 5x5s. Yeah, that's right. Okay, 7 inches up, and we're going to end up with 3 rafters and 1 7x7, I think. And because I left that 1/8" curve, because I left it at 12 1/8, that gives me a true 7 and a true 5. So this should be 5 and this should be 7. Get this thing off. We'll lift it back up with the machine after. Come on, slide. Nice. All right, so we want to take the cleaner side, wherever's the least amount of wane. Side's got quite a bit, so that can get cut off. I'm going to flip this side up and come up 5 and cut it off again. That's going to leave me a 5 on the bottom that has to be trimmed, and a 7x7 coming off the top. Come on. All right, so we got a 7x7 coming off the top. There's going to be a corner post. So we're going to come up 5 inches off the deck and cut it. That's going to give me a 5x7. That's going to be trimmed. We don't need 5x7s. We need 5x5s and 7x7s. And 7x7, throw that off. So we're going to come up 5. Now I'm going to double check. This should be a 7x7. 7x7. So this is a 7x7. Corner post. And we'll just shove this thing off the mill on the... maybe I'll just take it off this side. Just so I don't have to raise it all the way up, I'll just flop it off now. This is a 7x7 corner post. Set up right there, perfect. Now, we're going to take this 7-inch by 5, cut it to 5x5. It's perfect. I got a ton of wane on the other side, no wane on this side, so we're just going to flip this side up like that, cut it to 5 inches, and we got 1, 2, and this we're going to get 2 5x5s out of. This gives me a 2x5, which I'm going to throw over here, and I'll edge this down to a 2x4. I have to get my big sawhorses back over here. I'm going to pause you guys for a second. I'm going to have to move them over. So I had to move them out of the way for when we, on the big job, when we cut the 18-6 beams and we had to push them back and forth, I had to move my big sawhorses out of the way. I'm gonna get them back at the end of the mill here so I can put that 5x5 up here. We'll throw that big one up. We're gonna have to do a trim cut on the outside to clean up some of the outside. Flip it all the way over, a trim cut to 10 1/8, and then just cut it in half, and we'll have two more 5x5s. And then that other one is a 7x7 corner post is already done. So let's go ahead. We're going to get you guys over here, and I'm going to pause you guys, and I'll move my sawhorse back over. All right, so we got that up there. There's Danny with his bum foot, chilling out. So what we got to do with this one, we got a little bit of wane on both sides. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a trim cut off the top here. This is 12 1/8 wide. I need 10 1/8. So we're going to take a skim cut like 7/8, flip it all the way over, take a skim cut to 10 1/8, and then split it in half into two 5x5s. And then we'll have three 5x5s, rafters, and a 7x7 corner post. So let's do that. This thing should be 12 1/8, so I'm going to come up to 11 1/8 right now. Perfect. Let's just take it right there. A nice little 1x5. We'll flip it all the way over, cut it to 10 1/8, and then cut it to 5. And we'll end up with two 5x5s. And they only need to be 10 feet long. These are 12. Okay. Perfect. So we'll cut it to 10 1/8, and then we will cut it off at 5. Another 1x5. We're going to come back up. We'll go back. We'll drop the 5, cut it in half, and we're good. All right. So I'll show you what we got. We'll mark these with a blue crayon. I'll get you over here with me. We'll mark off our list what we have. Get some sort of drink, so I'm kind of parched. Get my blue crayon because I'm out of reds. Or at least I got that little chunk of red right there. So what we just cut was one 7x7 corner post. We need 6 of them by 10 feet long. This one's 12 feet long. And we cut 5x5s. We got 3 more rafters. 1, 2, 3. So we have a total right now of 7, and we need 18. And those are only supposed to be 10 feet long too, so that works out great. So we got one of those, a bunch of those. I am going to mark them with a crayon, just real quick. Mark them right near the end. Post 7x7, and then rafter. And rafter. Okay, I will end up picking these up with the machine. Pick this bottom one up, grab those two, and the one off of this over here. Right rafter on this one too. And I'll end up putting these 4 on that bunk sitting right there. Let's get the stickers on it. And he's already coming to get, see what we got over here. Those are 4 more rafters and his 2 top sills, 8x7 top sills that are 18 foot 6 inches long. So he's coming to get those. Now I've got a little more for him to grab, and I can get these out of here piece by piece by piece by piece, keeping track as I go. I'm going to throw another log up, and I'm not sure which one I'm going to grab yet, but for now, for Danny, wherever he is off to, oh, I see him, he's laying in the dirt over there. Poor dog. He's laying in the dirt over there. For myself and Danny, we always appreciate the watch. An update on the mechanics gloves. I do have my first hole starting in them, finally. I think I got a few weeks on these, so I am starting. This fingertip will be useless pretty soon. My finger will be hanging out of it. They did last quite a while, these mechanics prototype gloves. I didn't do anything insane with them, just normal everyday work, and I did finally wear through the fingertip. I do have a brand new pair of technical gloves in here. Oop. These Husqvarna technical gloves are what I normally wear. I have a brand spanking new pair. I probably have 5 pairs in the truck that have all got holes in them. Mechanics makes these for Husqvarna. So when these get holes in them and it starts to become a problem, I'll just switch back over to these and we'll see what Mechanics sends me next. I do have another pair from Mechanics that are kind of similar to these. They just fit a little bit loose. They got a good leather palm. We'll start wearing those too and see if we can wear those out. So, as always, appreciate the watch. Like, share, subscribe. You hit me up with any questions, I'll answer you back. And for now, Power Solutions out.